Morning everybody, and thank you for coming this morning to take part in our skills session. This morning's session is one that we've been really looking forward to. Recently, over the last 12 months, skills has been something that at Elcrig we've become really passionate about. And this morning we've got a great panel of young professionals who are working in the sector, and they're here to talk to us about some of the actions that we can take to how we really start to make the sector more attractive for younger people looking for a career in highways. So I'd like to welcome to the stage, please, we've got Charlie Dunkerley from East Riding of Yorkshire Council, we've got Steph Fox from Cheshire East Highways, and we've got Josephine Doe from Wigan Council. So we're going to start the session this morning, and I'm going to ask each of our panellists the same question. And we're going to start by asking, how do we make the sector more attractive for younger professionals? So Charlie, if you'd like to answer first.
Hello? Oh, there we go. Yeah, I think the ways we can make the sector more attractive is obviously showing youngsters the kind of career paths that are available to them. I think from a local government point of view, local authority, it's just showing them that we provide a lot of training and opportunities to progress through a career. And then obviously there's benefits like flexible working and things like that. So it's making them aware of what we do as an authority and what are the opportunities that they can kind of get along the way.
Brilliant, thank you, Charlie. And Steph?
So for me, it's about inspiring them into the industry, but once you've got them, retaining them. And if you look around the demographic of the room, no offence, it is of just like a particular age bracket maybe. So at these events, I would encourage people to bring young individuals along with you, to show them what it's about, what different careers you can take, and the different companies within the industry and the roles and opportunities available to them. Because there is young talent out there, and it's about retaining them within our industry.
Thanks, Steph. And Joe?
Yeah, so I mean, I think a main point of making the sector more attractive is using past apprentices as examples to showcase the opportunities on offer and the progression opportunities. Just to highlight, the apprenticeships in highways, you can go far and achieve great things.
Great, and when we had our chats prior to Strictly, you guys all talked about, you've been out to schools and you've been to career fairs and you've spoken to young people. What were their perceptions of a career in highways? Steph, do you want to answer this one?
So, been to a lot of schools and doing career fairs, and the main perception is that you're going to put on your high vis and you're going to go out on the road and repair a pothole. And actually, we know that there's more opportunities and career paths within our industry than working out on the roads. But the perception is that a career in highways is working out in all of the elements, fixing potholes, and that's not the case. So we need to go into schools, we need to give lectures at the right ages about careers and opportunities within our industry, and the wide range of teams that we can work in.
Thank you. And Charlie, you've had similar experiences in terms of going into schools.
Yeah, so I recently went to kind of our closest university where they had a bit of an open day, so Hull University, where they invited kids who were kind of at that age, 15, 16, where they're doing their GCSEs and about to leave school. And there was me and our group manager, Bill Mamby, who's not with us at the moment. I mean, he's alive, but he's not here. And people kind of made a bit of a beeline to me, to be honest. I think it was because I was probably a bit closer to their age, so they kind of engaged with me a little bit more. But I think it's really important to show how broad the industry is, because like you said, there's the perception is that we just go out and fill potholes, but there's a lot more to it than that. And I think when kids don't realise, I mean, when I was at school, I didn't even contemplate what the local authority really did and what their role was. Like you say, you just think it's that they fill a pothole or they pick your bins up or something like that. But then coming into the sector and actually being a part of the industry, you realise it's so much broader. And I think if we can get that into schools at a younger age, then you'll probably find that there are more younger people wanting to get into the industry.
There's a lot we can do, I think, isn't there, about extending that message out about just what kind of opportunities are available for younger people coming into the industry. One of the other things that we talked about as well was this kind of perception of when you leave college, you've got to go to university, and an apprenticeship maybe isn't as an attractive option. From your point of view, Joe, you went through an apprenticeship. What could we be doing to sort of change that perception about apprentices?
Yeah. So I know when I left college, when I did my A-levels, it was the consensus that you went to uni and you went to do your degree, and that was like the next step. And there weren't so much emphasis on doing apprenticeships, so you had to do like your own research. I mean, with apprenticeships, you were like focused through UCAS and you got all the help and support to do that application. But with apprenticeships, you're kind of left on your own. And I think the times are changing to where apprenticeships are becoming more common and promoted. But I mean, the main thing is, again, promoting past apprentices, using them as examples that they are a good way into the future and to build a career for yourself.
And Steph, you had a similar experience too, didn't you, in terms of, I think you were the only one of your sort of friend group who went through an apprenticeship programme.
Yeah, no, I was, and at the time when I was at school, it was, you had to go down the university route, and the school was looking at that as a kind of percentage and a figure-wise of the number of students they had to go to university. And yeah, I was the only one in my school to go down the apprenticeship route, but ultimately I did start sixth form and I did a year of A-levels, and then they wanted you to get on writing personal statements and all this, that and the other, and I was thinking, well no, I just want to work and I want to learn. So yeah, I applied for jobs in my local authority. My mum was like, you'd be guaranteed a job for life, go for your local authority. So I applied for different jobs and yeah, got this one in highways, and I've been there ever since. But ultimately there's paths available and I have completed a degree now. So the perception is that if you don't go to university, you're still going to do really well and actually potentially be a little bit further ahead than your other friends at school.
Yeah, and you know what, your other point there that you've made as well about it was your parents who really influenced your decision in terms of the career that you make. And I think that's one of the things that we've kind of identified. What can we be doing more in terms of influencing parents so that they understand about a career in highways and they can promote that to the children?
I think ultimately any young adult doesn't really know what they want to do in their career at school leavers age, and it's about letting your children be able to grow and develop and almost make their own mistakes and way in life, and yeah, just kind of trust in the process that there are opportunities out there, and provide more education on what can be achieved. You go down the apprenticeship route, you can obtain qualifications, and that training doesn't stop there. You can go on further if needed. So yeah, it's not all about having that degree qualification to make you qualified.
Thank you. And Charlie, you touched on earlier when you were speaking about having the possibility on all the career opportunities that are available as you start your apprenticeship. How important is it that you have an opportunity to work in a progressive environment with your clear opportunities mapped out?
Yeah, I think it's really important. I think that was the main reason for me when I came into the sector, is that I knew that, my story was a little bit different. I started on the ground as a road worker and then kind of worked my way through up into an office setting where I looked after, I was like a technical assistant, so I did all the TTROs and things like that, and worked my way into an engineering position where luckily they funded me to go to college, and now I'm doing a civil engineering qualification, ONC, so I'm hoping to then go. And that in itself, just getting that back in of we'll fund you to do training, put you through courses and things like that, that showed that they were really backing me, and I wanted in return that progressive environment that you talk about. And it kind of showed really, because an apprenticeship for me was kind of it was always seen as a backward step, With the age that I am, I'm not like I'm old or anything, but I always associated it as soon as you come out of school at the age of 16, that was like the apprenticeship time. But I went down a different route in terms of my job role that I went for. Well, when I left school, I was in football, so I signed for Hull City as an apprentice there. And then obviously that's such a small market to be in. That doesn't work out, and then you're kind of left with nothing. And I only really had GCSEs, no A-levels to fall back on, so I couldn't go to university. So an apprenticeship route was a really good way for me to get in. Luckily I worked for a contractor just on the ground, and then he contracted to council, so then I got on council books through them. And then the apprenticeship scheme came up, which was offered to me, and they said, this is all the things that you're going to get out of it, the potential career path, that progression that you talk about. And to me it was a bit of a no-brainer. It almost felt like one step back to take two steps forward, because you got a broad kind of overview of everything.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and you can clearly see the progression you've made, because I think since even last time we spoke, you've been promoted again already. So
yeah.
There's definitely some progression
in quite a
going
short
on there.
time as well, really. So I'm still learning. There's still things that I need to kind of brush up on and things like that. But it just shows their trust in me that they've given me a promotion, and now I've got kind of a supervisor role. So the opportunity is there if you want to go for it, and if you just crack on, really.
Great. And Joe, you've had a similar experience to Charlie, haven't you, in that you started on the tools and with the gangs out in the road. And how important was it to you that you had the opportunity to progress in your career too?
So it's really good. You've got the option if you want to progress, but at the same time, if you're happy being on the tools, I mean, you speak to some of the older men that have been through like the apprenticeship schemes as well, and like my manager, he did 10 years on the tools before he moved over. Some stay on the tools, and you get some who are later on in the 40s, and they'll maybe due to like injuries and it's mobility problems, then they'll move over into the office, into a more office-based role. And it's good just having the option there for you, the opportunity if you wish to move into the office and enhance your qualifications and go and get an HNC or maybe even a degree. The opportunities could arise.
Thank you. And Steph, you talked earlier about retention and how important that is, as not only of recruiting new staff but retaining people when you get them. And we talked earlier in our previous conversations about mentors and feeling part of a community. How important is this in terms of the retention of apprentices?
Yeah, mentors are vital. I mean, every day is a learning day, and if you've got someone that's willing to stick by you and give you that support and guidance, they will really help you flourish within your career. And you need to make sure that you offer them leadership styles rather than management styles to let them grow and flourish, because ultimately we don't learn things without trying them, and sometimes we make mistakes, and that's okay. But yeah, applying the right leadership styles rather than management styles is real key, I think.
Thanks, Steph. And some of the other things that we talked about in our earlier chats, we talked about the social value side of things and how by working in your local authority you can have a huge aspect on your community. Joe, is that important to you in your role?
Yeah, I love giving back to the community, and at Wigan we get 3 days paid volunteering, and this year there was probably a team of maybe 8 people, including the care home residents. So we went to a Heathside care home, which is just a residential home for like the elderly and people short-term who come out of hospital to get like mobile before going back into their own properties. And it's just great because you go into that area, you do it up so then they can use it, and then at the end of when you've finished the work, seeing them all using the area and what you've accomplished, it's really rewarding.
Thanks, Joe. And other things we've talked about in the past as well is around sustainability. And with a younger generation coming through into the workforce, is it important that they're able to see that they can have an impact on sustainability and net zero? Charlie, what have you found from that aspect?
Yeah, I mean, well, where the future, aren't we? So I think it's important that we try and engage with hitting net zero, and I think the young generation are typically quite engaged with it naturally because we know what the future holds really with the way that we're going at the moment. So if we can do everything that we can in our sector to help achieve that, then yeah.
Thank you. And Steph, I can't have you on the panel without asking you a couple of questions about what it's like being a woman working in highways. So I'm going to ask you some questions. We are still a predominantly male sector. It's lovely that we're starting to see more women and numbers are growing, but we're definitely still a predominantly male sector. And Steph, you manage a team that's predominantly male. How has it been for you being a young woman in highways in that sort of male environment?
So I think it's important to make clear that everyone is just the same, no matter what gender, age or race. And it's important that we change the mindset and make everything equal. Equality is where it should be at. And that as a woman depot manager, I have a team of 35 people. And within a team, I started managing that team 4 years ago, and I was 22 at the time. So I was not only a female, I was a young individual overseeing that team. Ultimately, within a team, you're going to have influences, some of them positive, some of them negative. And it's about taking them on that journey with you and kind of leading from the front with a bit of emotional intelligence, to know that you are there to support them as an individual, not only with their work, but their growth in their careers as well. And yeah, it's just really important to kind of almost just be looked at as one of the same. And yeah, I have got my own little family, team, team-wise. But the important thing to note is that if we can make a difference, and it's to get more women into these roles, and then maybe we can all have a chance of fixing our roads potholes.
That's brilliant, thank you. And I've got to say as well, you recently won the Best Woman in Highways at the 2023 European Women in Construction and Engineering Awards. It's quite a mouthful, that one.
Yeah.
Should we be doing more to recognise the great things that people are doing in our industry, and in particular apprentices and young people at the start of their career?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's loads of awards within our industry throughout the year, and obviously it's important to recognise that we can't physically nominate or put forward every young person that we have working within our teams, but it's still important that we recognise them internally, and we give them the growth and succession planning that they need to kind of pave their way for their future. It takes everyone to make a good team, and we need to recognise those individuals. Obviously, awards are great in winning, but it's about recognising them internally and giving them that growth. And I'd like to say a massive congratulations to Macy Richards, who obviously won the Apprentice Award last night. It's an amazing achievement, and there is so much hard work that goes into being an apprentice, being a graduate, being a young person in this industry, because you are learning and working alongside a full-time job, still learning the ways, and every day is different and is a new learning day, and it's difficult. So yeah, we should recognise and be proud of our young individuals, definitely.
Thank you. And I'm going to finish by asking everybody the same question. Charlie, I'll start with you. And what would you say to encourage somebody and make them want to join the sector?
Well, first off, I'd say do your research. Speak to people that you know that are already in the sector. And if you don't know anyone, reach out to somebody that is. But then just be open-minded, because it's such a broad industry. You can end up anywhere, so I'd recommend it to anyone. I've found really good things with it myself. Being in that progressive environment is something that I really, really wanted, and I'm still on that path of hopefully my career can go on. And I think if we can show younger people that they can do the same thing, then that will ultimately make it more attractive to them.
Thank you. And Steph?
Oh, I'd say just do it. The opportunities are endless, and It's an exciting and challenging environment to work in, but yeah, just do it. I do not regret the journey that I've been on so far.
Thank you. And Joe?
Yeah, I'd definitely recommend it, just because you actually, like working for your local council in highways, you're seeing the local differences. It's on your doorstep if you like live in the borough, and it's just really rewarding, and you're making a difference to hundreds of thousands of lives every day. Yeah, it's really makes you proud to like give back to the local community.
Thank you. Well, we've got a couple of minutes for questions. If anybody's got any questions that they'd like to ask our panellists. Oh, are you getting away with it? Well, thank you. Oh, have you got one, Charlotte?
I thank John Williams, Wigan Council. I'll not embarrass Joe. But I think I'm an apprentice myself. I started that way, and a lot of my colleagues in management and stuff like that has come through. So it is a proven track record of keeping talent and developing it. I think one of the things that's always difficult, and it maybe you can sort of put some light on that, is how do you find the process, the physical application process and stuff like that? And is there any inhibitors in that councils and highway sectors can overcome to sort of make it more attractive?
Joe, would you like to answer that one?
Yeah, I know I've discussed with John about like there's a scheme that we've like signed up to like individually, and it's Inspiring the Future programme. So that's like going into schools and helping, with mock interviews, so preparing them and giving them a better opportunity to get the job. Yeah.
Thank you. Are there any more questions? Oh, Charlotte, just over at the back there.
Hi, Dan Farley for Blackpool Council. Just a quick one. You've mentioned quite a lot about apprenticeships. I've come from a degree background with my master's. There wasn't a lot, particularly on my course, about highways. Do you think it's more important that we communicate better with universities to include more highway-based knowledge and then get those young people from universities into local authorities?
Who would like to answer that one?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. So that where I work, we offer graduate schemes for people leaving university, coming into the workplace. But ultimately, what we find is that some of the courses out there available to us aren't necessarily entirely tailored to highways. Now that is new and upcoming. There are now courses starting to filter in which are specific to highways, but there's definitely more that can be done in terms of bringing people into our industry down that particular specific route. When I did my degree, it was in construction management, and what they did was try and tailor that to highways where they could, but ultimately it was about building construction as well. So it was a little bit of both. So there wasn't something at that time particularly tailored specifically to highways.
Thanks, Steph. And actually our next presentation will link in quite nicely to that question, because we're going to talk about having the specific Highways Maintenance Academy that's being set up at Salford. But I would just like to say, before we pass over to Alan, thank you very much to our panellists today. I think they're a really inspiring group of individuals, and there's some great takeaways that we can all take from today, and some actions that we can really take forward to help secure and develop our workforce of the future. So thank you very much to our three panellists today.